Hello and welcome back to the Student Pages podcast. Once again, I'm your host, Grace Sanders, and we at the Student Pages are very excited to bring you a special series on DJing, as Kevin and Perry would say, sponsored by Alpha Theta, market leader in the design and production of innovative DJ equipment and software, and Pioneer DJ's sister brand. And I'm more excited to bring back a fan favourite for you guys. It is once again the Dixon Brothers. Hi guys, how are you doing?
Hey Chris, how you doing? We're all good. All good. Happy to be here. Happy to be
Happy
here.
to be here. I'm happy to be talking to professional DJs, as in Kevin and Perry, to you guys, whilst we're out here repping Alpha Theatre as well.
We've never been linked to Kevin and Perry, so we'll take that.
Was that never on? Were they not like a springboard for any sort of career things?
No, but maybe we need
Only
to put
as
this on
a
our mood board, Just.
So last time we spoke, we went on a huge tangent about all of the various different DJ sets that you've done, how you came up in the industry, had a massive talk about beginning DJing and like the programs that you set up for people getting into DJing, as well as a bit of a tangent about Ready Steady Cook, which was fantastic for me to listen to. But we're here today to talk about the things that you have coming up. So I'd really just want to hand it over to you and hear more about what you have been doing since we last spoke.
Wow. So how many years has it been since we last talked? You say it's
I'm gonna
about,
be probably about two, which is terrifying to think about because I can
wow.
recall that session because it lasted like an hour, 2 hours.
So that's what the good chats do. I mean, two years, so 2 summers. I mean, me and Justin have been super busy. We've had some really good summers under our belt where we heavily doing like the UK festival circuit. We partner with Three Mobile every year, and with them we kind of take what we do and go around like the UK festivals. In the summer, we get super busy with the festivals, which is awesome. We're just here, there, and everywhere, which we love because there's there's nothing better sometimes than just playing outside and like when the sun's out and everyone's just on a good vibe. And then when we do these festivals, we're right close to like the main stage, so the crowd is right there. And then when they come and find where we are, because we're up in the sky, so Three put together this wicked platform which is really high in the sky and it's all lit up, so we're up there just rocking. So we've got like people dancing on our platforms called like the Three viewing platform, and then we're also DJing to everyone down in the festival as well, so it's going off. So that's been pretty sick the last few summers. For me, it's one of the best activations, if not the best activation, because we're there. And for us, we get to do what we do, and then we get to see some amazing live artists as well and discover new talent, which is what me and Just are all about. And like Just says, if the food vendors pop in, we will find you. You know what I mean? So, yeah, absolutely. So yeah, festival runs, super awesome. Then Ibiza, which is such a highlight for us. Now we've been doing doing Ibiza now for probably about maybe like 7, 8 years, and you still have that pinch me moment when you're like, oh yeah, we're here and it's rocking and you're doing a good job and people are just loving it. Can't forget the ski season, because that's where our year usually, like our international year, starts off there. So we do snowbombing, as we probably gassed about on the last one, and we will continue to gas about because it's so much fun and we still can't ski, but the vibes are vibing. So
But you're at the opera. You're at the opera.
that's it. That's it. If you like, we're there for like the Instagram pictures. Like it looks great. We've got the full kit, but the baby slope, then that's literally it. I
So
loved it.
is this an off season for you then? Does it go summer festivals, then
Mhm.
Ibiza season, then you've got your New Year's, you start off with Après, and then is what is like the March to before the May festivals begin? What happens February, March, April time?
Me and Big Man are in the lab, and we're working
Oh, are
on.
you cooking?
Yeah, we're literally, as soon as like that period finishes. I mean, we're always up to stuff, but as soon as that period finishes, we like transition onto like working out the plan for the next year. What are we going to do this summer? How do we elevate what we did before? So like we look at our wins. It's like, right, that was excellent. How do you fine tune that? I mean, we've been doing this for many years, but we're always fine tuning our stage show. We're fine tuning our business in the background, who we work with. We love to work with brands that kind of echo our ethos and the things that we like to do and like to represent. So we look who else is doing new things in the game, introduce ourselves. We really buckle down in that period. And then for us, it also allows us to come up with things like the creative studio that just opened. That's when you kind of sit down, get the notepads out, and really fine tune what the programs that you're going to do. So we came up with the DJ workshops and who we were going to work with when we're putting these things on, and the design workshop and who will be the tutors. And then by the time it gets to sort of like your March, April, for us, if you haven't nailed it and things are rolling by then you've almost missed the boat. That's how quick you've kind of got to work in the year. If it's not done, you haven't reached out to the brands, you haven't, if you're lucky enough, got those contracts signed, you're up against a lot of competition because that's about time everyone else starts to go. So you want to be ahead of the game. So we really cherish those moments to just settle down and then, take a breather as well before we go again. So they're good times. And the next thing you know, as soon as the ski season hits, we know we're on like a roller coaster of fun vibes and performances all the way until Christmas, which is great.
And now that's a wonderful segue into all of the schemes and organisational stuff you've been doing with 0181 Studios and how you've been operating to help up and coming DJs and student DJs as well. So I kind of just want to circle back and speak a little bit more about what you think it takes to make a great DJ.
You're one of the greatest I know, man. You go for it.
God bless you. God bless you. The key skill or attribute of a good DJ, I think, is empathy. And I say that because it means being able to understand the energy in a room. So once we get to a venue, we'll very quickly scan the room, work out kind of what the key kind of touch points will be. So we know, okay, that table's over, that's a bunch of lads, they're going to want that. That table's a bunch of girls, they're going to want to hear Beyonce. That table's a bit more mature, they might want to hear a bit of a Gwen McRae or something like that. So we'll go, when we arrive somewhere, we'll try to get there ahead of time, read the room, then we'll go back into a dressing room and make our little loose playlist. But by and large, it's just reading the energy from the room and getting, we respond to the energy we get back as much as the audience responds to the energy we're giving out. And then we just work out a connection. And then by the end of it, it's an absolute madness. And actually, going back to your earlier question, Grace, about kind of what we do between kind of, I guess, January and March, we've got a residency at 100 Wardour Street in Soho, London. And that we're there like every 2 weeks. And every 2 weeks, it gets absolutely detonated on by Adrian, myself, and a good friend of ours. And yeah, it's wicked. It's like a proper vibe. We've had like crowds of 500 in there. We've had crowds of 160, but they get the same slap every time. And it's great. So look, you and Gareth, you're more than welcome when you're about on a Saturday. Come down and join us and just buckle up.
That's it. I want to be on the VIP bit though.
Don't worry, we've got you covered. Got you covered.
Wherever you want.
I think venues are so important as well. Like there's a lot going about, especially like you hear in the news stories now. People aren't just going out as much. Venues are failing, especially independent ones, which is such a shame. And what are your favourite venues that you've been to? I want to say specifically in London, but maybe in the UK, just that people can access.
I think the culture's changed. And where it would be, Age and I would very often be out kind of doing like, I don't know, a midnight till 2 set. The brunch culture has really taken hold. So people kind of come out from like midday and they're absolutely caved in by 6, 7. Just, like I said, the culture, I think, has changed.
The natural answer would be to kind of say a club or a venue that everyone knows, sort of like a drum sheds or ministry. But because the culture of DJing and events and parties has changed, other venues are hosting things and allowing DJs to come in and do what they do in the clubs, but at places you wouldn't expect. And I would say that for me, my favourite place that I played in London would be the Natural History Museum. That was insane.
Did you do the silent disco nights?
Oh, it weren't silent.
Oh.
I'll tell you that. But it was what you would have seen where they do the silent disco nights. Being there and kind of, you walk up to the Natural History Museum and it's like, this is ridiculous that we're about to go and DJ in there. And just the visual of the outside building stops you in your tracks because it's beautiful. But then, we'll have like an artist liaison officer who will come and get us. And then they're walking us to the DJ booth, but through the back entry of Natural History Museum, which you've never seen before. But I used to go there as a kid on my school trips. So your mind is like, oh my gosh, there's the gift shop and all that sort of stuff. And I'm going to stop and buy some marbles or whatever it was you used to do. And so you're seeing, I remember just seeing parts of that place that I'd never seen. And we got led through. And then next thing you know, you're in I guess it's like the Great Hall. And then you've got the different displays. You've got the massive skeleton that's above you, and there's the DJ booth. And I was like, this is ridiculous. But then we click into DJ mode, and it's like, what's that film with Robin Williams where all the things come alive at night?
Night at the Museum, but yeah.
It's like that. It's just like you're playing, you're amongst history, you're amongst culture, and then you look in front of you and people giving it full like god figures in front of you. And that was like such an amazing juxtaposition that I'd say for me in London, that really does rank quite highly, alongside having done Wembley to like 10,000 7 times or whatever. But that was special.
See, I can get how like being a DJ and seeing all of these people like essentially catching on to like what you're putting out, catching on to your vibe is amazing. How do you feel about like the smaller venues? Because for me, as soon as you say ministry, I think that's somewhere, and I'll hold my hands up to this, I think that's somewhere pretending to be a venue that isn't. I go in there and I'm like, everything feels manufactured. I don't like it. It's not like everyone's just pretending.
Just you might have a view on this, but for me, when I played Ministry the first time, I was 17, 18, and Ministry back then was completely different than what you see now. Like when it was back then, it was a venue, and it was the venue of London. And if you had the privilege to play there, you were like, oh, I've made it. Like this is it. Now everything's different. These venues are still doing what they're doing, but they operate differently. There's so much heritage, and we came up in that heritage. So we would see your Dream Teams and your EZs and your Cole Tough Enough Browns, like the classic DJs there. And then we had the opportunity to play then. It has changed since then. Definitely back when we were there, it was a venue, and if not the number one venue in London.
So with like students that you're coaching now, and when it comes to getting gigs, whether it be big, whether it be small, how would you say to actually go about this? Is it literally a case of selling yourself and marketing, or is it knowing someone who knows someone?
I think if you want to be a DJ, you've got to be able to communicate and be kind of sociable. And by being sociable, it allows you to have conversations with managers. First residency was at a bar called Cube Bar in Birmingham. And I literally just walked in there, asked who the duty manager was, and said, look, can I play for an evening? And literally just had a chat with him and goes, all right, cool. It's like, where have you played before? I said, nowhere, but I think I'm pretty good. And so I played like a 4-hour set for a jug of Fosters. And it was literally that was the payment for the night. And I was more than happy with that. The first gig I ever played was at my university halls of residence. Yeah. And I blagged my way into that just by chatting to Hall's kind of entertainment manager. And I had literally 5 records. I think I told the story to you before. Where
the last one. Yeah.
Where it went wrong 3 times. No, it went wrong twice, and then the third time I smashed it. So it's just about being able to just having the confidence that if you genuinely love something, then that kind of passion and that love will come through when you're talking about it, and you're more than likely to have someone, take a punt on you, like believe what you're saying and say, yeah, you know what, you little ballsy little kid, I'll give you a go. And if it's not going to cost them loads of money, it's only going to cost them 4 pints of Fosters, then that can only be a win for them. So I think it's about kind of
that. To be fair, that's close to what, 40 quid now. So I don't know.
You know what? It might be. I haven't bought a Fosters in a long time. But yeah, we've done that. We used to be residents at a club called Plan B in Brixton, and there was the main room. And then the agent and I started running parties in their basement, basically. And it was our own little kind of like a miniature house party. So we'd have DJs, and the booth would be in the middle of the room, and everyone would just be almost boiler room style, just around you. But then we had like a Super Nintendo console in the corner. We were doing giveaways during the night. We made it feel like a real, like literally just like a house party. So I'm with you on that. When you can just literally touch the ceiling, or like give the DJ a smash on the back because he's just dropped a banger. We love that.
Yeah, definitely. I think also to add on to that with your question about students getting into DJing, just keep being networking and keeping your eyes open for opportunities, because there are those opportunities popping up, and there's a lot of kind of venues that I've actually talked to in the last week or so who are actually looking for up and coming talent. There seems to be this really big surge looking for new talent. So being across the platform, not everything lives on TikTok and Instagram and Snap. It's not all just there. Look on your LinkedIns. Actually go and have a look where these people put these shout outs in. Introduce yourself to everybody, even people that you think are out of your reach. You just never know. Take a punt. What Justin said earlier, same thing happened to me. We were in 2 different sides of the UK, but we were both asking someone to take a punt on us. And then when that opportunity comes, be ready, be prepared, and stand out. I would say that DJing now, there's not as much individuality for the younger DJs that are coming up, because all they're seeing a lot of the time is what is trending on social. When we were coming up, we didn't have that. So you just had to know, you had to have a feel for the game. You had to really understand music. I think that part has been lost a little along the way, but now it's coming back. So I think student DJs, be ready for the opportunity, be ready to work hard and know your craft. And if everyone's doing, I mean, big man always say, if everyone's going left, go right. Look in other directions. Switch your playlist to hit what the promoter, when you get your opportunity, the promoter is going to ask you to do something. Great. But how do you stand out in that crowd? What are you going to do? Put a little twist on it. And people know if they come and see me and Justin at our big age now, and we've been doing this for ages, that we're always trying to change the set. So people will be like, oh yeah, these are the 3 tracks I wanted to hear, but the 4th is going to take you left, but you will remember that later on. And that then your brand starts to develop, and be ready to, learn how to build a brand. Like at the studio at 0181, we teach the art of DJing. So we will show you how to get from A to B on the decks, but we also make a huge point of teaching you the business side of things. How do you brand yourself? How do you interact with people like yourselves and find yourselves on platforms like Student Pages to have these sort of interviews? How do you design a deck? Me and Just are creating decks all day, every day, bespoke decks for the brands that we want to talk to. How do you use the tools that are out there? Do you know Photoshop? You should, because that's the basic level to create these packages. And if you don't know how to do it, it's always good to bring someone alongside you who can do it, but learn the art as well. Do you know what I mean? And then you kind of like put that all around the heartbeat, which is your DJing. And if you're persistent and you're good, it will work for you.
Something we haven't actually spoke about a lot is like what you mentioned there, the heartbeat, like the actual, I want to say engineering side of it, because it is ultimately, it's sound engineering, it's product design, and you talk about the deck, and that thing terrifies me. I wouldn't trust myself at a boiler room because I'd want to reach over and like just like change something about so bad. Like my thoughts would win in that situation. How would you actually go about like setting up your own deck and the actual role of product and engineering in that?
Do you mean as in terms of actually like plugging everything in ready to go? How you go about that?
Essentially, but how do you actually learn the ins and outs of DJing when the deck's in front of you when you start?
It's about failing loads of times and learning. I mean, by the time you get the opportunity to play in a club or an venue, you should know how to get about the decks. And if you don't know, that means you've missed a huge step and you technically shouldn't be there. Do you know what I mean? Because you've taken the position of someone that has really trained in the art. The thing that everyone has access to, so there is actually no excuse, is YouTube. YouTube will tell you everything that you need to know if you're willing to learn. So you can, for instance, DJ controllers now, you can get them for so cheap. You can get the apps on your phone for free. So you can, by going through YouTube, getting yourself a little controller if you can afford it. And if you can't, getting a free app for your phone if you've got a phone, or going to finding open deck events, throw them at 0181 as well, where there's a set of decks there and you can just come and play. And that way you can get your practice, get your reps in. So then after a while, you should be able to learn. And then honestly, I still learn things about the equipment. I don't know, you just, but I'm still learning bits about the equipment whilst playing. Now, oh yeah, that does that. And oh, okay, cool. I could use that, and I can manipulate that to make this effect. And you're never not learning, but you have to put the work in. There's no shortcuts to it.
I see a lot of people on TikToks, even though I'm not across that sort of side of TikTok, because I'm going to be honest, I really don't have an ear for music. I'm very much a culture vulture in the fact that my friends will post an event and I'll go, yeah, sure, I'll come along. And I don't know how big or famous this person is, but I'll have a great time. And I think that's what it's all about. But I see a lot of people on TikTok talking about how you set certain songs up, or like if you're using a very popular song, how you use the beat. Do you think that that's a good way to learn, or have you watched a couple of those and they've gone, yeah, they don't know what they're talking about because they've never played to a crowd?
I think you can take from those people what you will. Like everyone's got a different way of doing things. How like myself and Just, we for the last good few years we've been using a laptop with old software on it because it's natural to us. Do you know what I mean? It's like being in a comfy pair of slippers and your dressing gown. and then we will play alongside someone who has all the new stuff, all the bells and whistles, and they look at us rock up and pull this old laptop out the bag, and they're like, "Oh my gosh, what's that?" And then we plug it in, and then we smoke, because it's what works for us. Do you know what I mean? It might not work for someone else. So you can watch these things and go, right, that person has given me the fundamentals. If you can understand the fundamentals, it's then, okay, then what do you do with that information? You don't want to just because that person says A and B, go, that's what it is, because the art of DJing is it's an art. There's not just one way to draw a stick man. Do you know what I mean? There's various different ways to do it. So you kind of take the ingredients from other people, do your research, find those who are respected in the community by other DJs as well. You know, if James Hype is going to tell me how to do some insane transition from X to Y, I'm going to listen, because I've seen that geezer do it loads of times. But if it's just like some newbie, you really got to go, okay, cool. What is it you're showing? Are you just doing this for the clicks, or are you actually about that life? Do you have skin in the game? And then put your own sauce on it, I guess. I think that's the same for anything in the world.
Agreed.
Unless I'm way left, just like I could be talking absolute nonsense.
No. In regards to part of what Grace was asking, in terms of when you have a music library, you'll often have, especially if you're using a piece of software called Serato, it will tell you the BPM of, you know, the beats per minute of certain tracks. So you can just take say if you've got Crazy in Love by Beyonce, that's probably about 98 BPM. So you might just want to take the that first bit, and you might want to use that over another track that's at 98 BPM. So you can be so creative with it. You don't have to just play one tune and then play another one. You can take little bits and little kind of things work well together, and just have fun with it. That's the main thing. Have fun, and like sometimes you'll be like, oh my goodness, I didn't know that would work, but that one smacked. I'm going to use that in my next set. Yeah,
we do that so often, right, Just?
Huh?
During a set, we'll come up with a mix we've never done before and go, remember that, and then and then it becomes part of our thing. You're totally right, mate.
And now you've just spoken about like your music library there. How do you actually manage it? Do you have like an ear for stuff when you're out and about? How often do you attend other gigs?
Unfortunately, because of our schedule, we don't get to attend that many, which is a shame, and something personally I'd love to do more often this year. I think our radio show, so we have a Friday night show on Kiss Fresh 7 till 9, and that's every Friday night. So we have to make sure that we're at the top of our game.
Seamless, bro.
Seamless, isn't it? Isn't it? Love that one. Our show is designed to break new sounds, break new artists, new genres. So we have to make sure that we are at the cutting edge of what's happening all over the place, and we're a multi-genre show as well. So we're listening to everything from hip hop to house, drum and bass, Afro beats, amapiano. We're sponges for sound, and we're looking for the new thing. So I think that allows us to build a quite sensational library. The actual categorizing of the library is another question, because if anyone else was to look at it, they'd be like, this is a mess, lads. And it is. But I guess it's like it's a representation of how our brain works. It's just everything is where organized chaos. It's organized as hell. But yeah, we spend a lot of time looking for music and trying to be ahead of the curve. I think the one common thread you can see by everything that me and Just is saying is being different than everyone else. So if it is the new Central C track, love that, got that one in the library, but who's done the ill remix that no one else has heard of? And that's the one we're trying to find. So that way, when we perform, you can have that familiarity, but our remix game is crazy, but our organization is trash. We need to do better with that. Definitely being on Kiss Fresh and then doing that show and doing events like that keeps us on top of things.
Now you've just said about being different and standing out and how important it is to create your brand. But I noticed that you are both wearing exactly the same clothes today. I just wanted to point out that you are so in sync right now, and ask a little bit about how you found collaborating with each other and like the feeling of getting someone that you can actually rely upon and collaborate with. Is that something that young DJs actually need to search out as well? Someone that they can rely upon within the community? And, you know, even if you're just doing like a B2B with someone, how can you catch on to someone else?
We are very lucky that, you know, we are two brothers And
Literally.
our family and our grandparents have always pushed us to be together and to work together. And because of the way we grew up and how close we are, it's just a perfect fit. We think the same and different. And that's what makes our stage shows so exciting, is we're in sync to everyone else, but me and Justin are changing things and whatnot. And by changing things in real time, we are motivating each other to push their part of the set to be even better, which is super exciting. And we're lucky that our career has allowed us to travel the world together and have these insane experiences. I think that one of my favorite experiences would have been standing at one side of Wembley Stadium. There's 10,000 plus in front of us, and I look over to the left and my brother's over there. I'm like, this is sick. Do you know what I mean? And he's finding music and I'm looking for music, because when we get to do our radio show, when you listen to our radio show, it's literally me and him going at each other to see who's got the banger. So you're constantly pushing each other to be better, whilst also supporting each other when the support is needed. I would say for new DJs and new artists, collaboration is key. It's not so much that you have to be performing with someone, and you can definitely have your own solo brand if that's the way you roll, but searching out like-minded people and attending events and networking events to meet people like yourself, and also people who aren't like you but are in that space, it's so important, because it will unlock parts of your creativity that you don't even know. It will spark an idea. So I was talking to this guy, he plays thrash metal. I don't play thrash metal, but the way he talks about that music, maybe I can apply that to what I do. And by building a community around you, having a community that all share your knowledge, opportunities will turn up that you may have missed. Someone will be like, oh mate, I'm playing here, they need another DJ, can you come through? Bang, there's your opportunity from nowhere. And that's just by having a really good network. We belong to a network called DJ City, which is a global record pool, and we sit in a WhatsApp group with DJs all over the world. And if I'm going to, or just as going to like another country, you drop a message into that WhatsApp group, like, oh, I'm in Brazil or Barcelona, anyone here? And one of the DJs will be like, I'm here, give me a shout when you get here. And then boom, you got another network. It's the same with Lucky being like on Kiss all these years, we built a network of other DJs who are doing other things, but you can hit them and ask them questions and share music and share mixes and share skills. And that really helps push yourself forward. So new DJs, new artists, build your network, build your peoples and share, and you can all win together.
Yeah, so that like it's nice to hear that you've got like the sibling rivalry going. You just need to find someone out there that you can have that little bit of sibling rivalry, kick you on the head one day, support you and love you the next.
Yeah. No, it's absolutely true. And you know, we brought through so many DJs who come, and we take them on. We love taking them under our wing and letting them kind of grow and giving them support and letting the kind of little embryo turn into a full-fledged adult and just smash it. And Adrian and I very often sit back and be like, yeah, he's kind of good, you know, or he's got really good. And it's kind of it's a nice feeling to watch somebody you kind of brought in under your tutelage actually then develop into like a really good DJ.
Now, it's nice to hear that like you're supporting these young DJs and letting them like fly the nest and whatnot. But obviously there is so much of the music scene, and I don't discount places like Bristol, like Leeds, but if you are in London, it's kind of it's more of a gold ticket to get into where you're going in terms of like monetization and being able to support yourself here. What advice do you have for students that aren't in what we would call like cultural hubs, your Manchesters, your Liverpools, Leeds, Bristol, London? What if you're just in your little outside little town, much like where I come from?
I think right now is such an exciting time for artists and DJs that aren't in London, because yes, London is like the big ticket. We've got to go to London to do. But for me, I'm looking into the other regions. What is happening out there? And it feels like the most exciting talent that I've seen, a lot of it is coming from the smaller regions, in like small villages, and they're creating their own scene. When we came up in the game, definitely in like that sort of like UK garage, jungle, drum and bass, all that sort of stuff, that came from small scenes that just popped up out of nowhere and then it blew. So I would say don't so much freak about not being in London. build your own community and make sure that you're putting in the work, and you will be found. You will be found, because the internet flatlined everything. So we're all like, it's almost an even playing field in terms of getting your brand out there. Yeah, build your scene and reach out to the right people in your city and outside of your city. And I can't say it's 100% going to happen for you because you're not in London, but I know as a Londoner, South Londoner, I'm excited to see what is happening outside of my community, and so are brands as well. Brands are definitely looking for something different.
Now, London is a very saturated market, so you'll see that there is as popular as London is, there is an element of everyone being so desperate to play in London that they'll play in London for a bag of crisps, and it's kind of that just only helps just bring the actual monetization down. Whereas if you're out in maybe a less kind of known location, you could be like your local pub down the road. Like you could charge, you could do your night and you just put it on, and everyone pays £1 a ticket to come in and have a good old beer, and you've made 50 quid there. And it's just starting that little kind of nucleus of a fan base. And before you know it, it's like when you see X Factor and you've got the random dude that gets way into the competition because they've just got such a loyal fan base that people just, like, whatever it is, they're voting for him. And that's all it is. It's just generating that kind of that love and that genuine support. And that will come through. Like, you don't need to be in London, because London will find you once you've built your kind of organic fan base. And
it's been fantastic to talk to both of you today, but I just want to ask one final question before we sign off here. We've spoken a lot about up and coming DJs supporting each other, love for the community, building a brand, as well as just straight up loving your craft. I want to ask, what are you listening to right now? What is your obsession right now?
What day of the week? What am I listening to?
Right, so some dude, classical pianist, he remixed Gypsy Woman by Crystal Waters, and he dropped some, is it Shovsky? Classical.
Oh, that guy's, yeah.
Yeah, he absolutely tore it up. I'm going to send you a link, and it's definitely worth a watch. Like, it is just the way he just kind of seamlessly just blended some of the most classic chords you'll ever hear on a house tune with just classical music. And I must look like an idiot, right? Because I'm walking home, I've literally stopped and gone, no way! And, it didn't look good, but I was having a great time. So I was thinking,
I'm never going to beat that. To be honest, guys, I listen to a whole mishmash of stuff. If I'm in the gym, I'm listening to one thing. If I'm running, another thing. If I'm just trying to get the work done, it's something else. But the last thing that I was listening to is actually something I listen to a lot, and it's quite old actually. The legend that is Benji B for BBC Radio 1. He did a performance. It's years ago he did this. I think it was at Maida Vale or something like that. And he is supported by a orchestra, and he's playing his set, and he's got the orchestra with him. And it was one of the first times that people were doing that. And if you know me, if you put live strings on anything, for me, it's a massive tick in the box. Like that's my thing. It gets the hairs on my arms like up and attention.
You got no hairs on your arms.
I got one. I mean, you know what I mean? It's there.
This is where the sibling rivalry's coming in.
yeah. Now you see it, right? And any chance to have a go. But I've been watching that again recently quite a bit, just because it inspires me. Because I'm that's something that I want to do. I want to write. I've always wanted to score music, so watching stuff like that, gets me going. So that's what's on the playlist as of today. Ask me tomorrow, it'd be something completely different.
You know what's interesting, Adrian, on that is the fact that the track that I just played was a reinterpretation of a classic house track, and what Benji B did was basically kind of author his kind of playlist to classical. So we're on the same page again, bro.
Yeah, absolutely. I think with us, we are students of music. So we really do dissect music down to its smallest molecule. So we will look for Gypsy Woman with a classical piece. How does that work? Who comes up with that? And then we'll play that in a set. That's where we differentiate our sets from someone else, because they'll be like, did you hear the guys that just played the orchestra in the middle and then suddenly ran straight into Dizzy Rascal? It's like, yeah, them boys. that was actually the beginning of me and Justin really like pushing what we would do performance wise, and software, computer software and all that digital software caught up with where our brains were. So it allowed us to do these things on the fly. And now you see it all the time, everyone's doing mashups and whatnot, but we were at like the beginning of that and really pushing it. So yeah, you'll find us doing some random stuff and searching for all sorts of styles of music, because it just keeps the game really interesting and inspiring. And that is what we try to put onto the next DJs coming up. And if you come into our studio, if you come to 0181 in Sutton, those are the lessons that you're going to get, because they're so important.
Well, it's been really inspiring to speak to both of you again today. You can catch the Dixon Brothers literally at the Dixon Brothers, Instagram, Twitter, which is now X for some reason, every form of social media going, 0181 Studios, as well as the Residency and their regular spot on Kiss FM. Please go and check these guys out. But we'll drop all of the socials below, as well as the playlist recommendations. Thank you very much for coming along.
Thank you, Grace. Thank you very much.
Great to see you again. Talk to you soon.
And a special thanks to our sponsors, Alpha Theatre, market leader in the design and production of innovative DJ equipment and software, and Pioneer DJ's sister brand. Check out their amazing products via the link below.